My wife cheated on me, and the person she had an affair with was my younger brother. She didn't offer any explanation, and she didn't even bother to give me a perfunctory excuse. I had taken good care of her for 3 years, but all I got in return was her saying, "You just look like him." They were passionately in love, and the netizens were crazy about their love story, completely forgetting that Lily, the movie queen, had a husband like me because I was reincarnated. But it doesn't matter. This time, I don't care anymore. Lily is the top female star in Hong Kong City and the only white moonlight in the hearts of millions of people. I am the eldest son of the top wealthy family in Hong Kong City and the first playboy, despised by everyone. But we suddenly announced our marriage officially and got the marriage certificate. Since that day, I have been chased and blocked by reporters all over the city and also been cursed day and night by her fans, but I still felt content. After all, I fell in love with her at first sight and had a secret crush on her for 13 years. More importantly, it was she who proposed marriage first. But how could I have known that she had never loved me? She wanted to marry me just to stimulate the person she loved deeply in her heart. I had always thought that we were in love with each other until 3 years later. My younger brother, Elliot, the cinnabar mole in her heart, came back. We have been in love for 15 years. I'm willing to abandon everything for him. Getting married before was not what I wanted. When I was pushed into the operating room for rescue due to a car accident, she was holding Elliot's hand and saying this declaration of love under the witness of all the reporters in Hong Kong City. In my previous life, I failed to be rescued and died on the operating table with a sense of unwillingness, confusion, and even reluctance. But in this life, I miraculously woke up with all the memories before and after my death in the previous life. Benjamin, Madam, wants to see you. It has been 10 days since I woke up, and this is the first time Lily has come to see me. I know, she's getting worried. In the previous life, after they boldly announced their relationship publicly, everyone began to dig into their past love stories, 3 separations and 3 reconciliations, so sentimental, which was regarded as an unfulfilled love story of the wealthy family in everyone's eyes. Her words, "Getting married before was not what I wanted," became evidence for everyone to accuse me of obtaining something by improper means. So Elliot's chasing my car and forcing it to stop was seen as bravely chasing love and being crazy for love, while my death was considered as getting what I deserved, as evil deeds bring their own punishment. Lily, as my widow, directly chose not to hold Elliot, the person responsible for the accident, accountable. As for my family, the Benjamin family had already lost one son, so the remaining one, even if he was an illegitimate child, still needed to be protected. So no one cared about the real reason for my death. After all, I was just a tiny stumbling block on their path of love. But in this life, I didn't die. I immediately asked the police to thoroughly investigate the cause of the car accident and refused to settle it privately. So Lily came to see me, not because of a wife's concern for her husband, but for Elliot. Sure enough, as soon as she entered the ward, she began to scold me with a dissatisfied look on her face. "Benjamin, you're going too far. Could you please stop making things difficult for Elliot? He's different from you. It hasn't been easy for him to struggle on his own until now." I looked at Lily like this. She was both familiar and strange. Finally, I interrupted her words. My voice was weak, and there was also a trace of pain and inquiry in my eyes. "The doctor said that it's already a medical miracle that I could wake up. I almost died. I actually still had a little expectation for her. After all, maybe the previous life was just a dream. So I didn't propose divorce these days, nor did I respond to the outside media. I was waiting for her to show up. I looked at her, hoping that she still had some feelings for me, even if it was just guilt. However, after hearing my words, the disgust in her eyes flashed by. When she spoke again, her tone was one of complete indifference. "But you're okay now, can't you? I know that Lily only has Elliot in her heart." But when she expressed her indifference to me so bluntly, my heart still felt a dull pain and a bit of anger. "Lily, I can't feel my legs. I'm very likely to lose my legs. Is this okay? Besides, have you forgotten that you're my wife? We haven't divorced yet." I tried hard to control my emotions, but anyone could feel the anger in my words. She was stunned for a moment, as if she hadn't expected that I would get angry with her. But then a mocking smile appeared at the corner of her mouth, and she took out a document from her bag and handed it over. "Elliot said that the reason you're holding on to this is just because I made you lose face. I didn't believe it before, but now it seems that it's true. This is the divorce agreement. I'm willing to leave the house empty-handed as long as you're willing to let Elliot go." Hearing this, I sneered in my heart. I really didn't understand what was going on in Lily's mind. She and Elliot declared their love in public, which was equivalent to directly admitting that she had cheated during our marriage. So what made her think that she could use leaving the house empty-handed as a bargaining chip in the negotiation with me? Moreover, leaving the house empty-handed is just a joke. During these 3 years, I gradually gave her 10% of the shares of the Benjamin Group. There's nothing about the ownership of these shares in the agreement. I sighed and asked the question that I hadn't asked in 2 lifetimes. Lily was stunned for a moment, and then she said in a low voice, "Because you look like him." Look like? Well, after all, we are brothers. I smiled bitterly. Is it just because of this? Lily, have you ever loved me? Even a little bit? For a moment, I looked at her with desolation in my eyes. She avoided my gaze, swallowed, cleared her throat, and finally nodded. After a while, she said, "No, Benjamin, I've never loved you. I married you just because you look like him. I know you may think that I'm sorry for you, but you won't understand." At the beginning, having got the answer, I didn't want to hear. I didn't want to hear their disgusting love story again, so I interrupted her. "Okay, I'll sign the divorce agreement, but I'll have my lawyer review it first. As for Elliot, what makes you think that as long as I sign the letter of understanding, he'll be okay?" Lily frowned and looked at me in confusion. "What do you mean?" I just smiled without saying a word, having no intention of explaining. Just when we were in a silent stalemate, she received a phone call. I don't know what was said on the other end, but her face changed drastically, and then she left in a hurry. I knew why, because Elliot was accused of intentional murder. Was my death really just an accident in a car crash? Did Lily really marry me just because I looked like Elliot? Of course not. All of this had been planned long ago. Lily wasn't wrong when she said that getting married back then wasn't what she wanted. She married me for Elliot's sake. At the very beginning, it was to make him angry. It was their third breakup. Elliot went abroad. She was heartbroken after being abandoned until she met me. She had never thought that there would be someone who looked so much like Elliot, and what surprised her even more was that I turned out to be Elliot's older brother, the older half-brother that Elliot had always hated. The brother who had even tried to harm her in order to ruin Elliot. But she still chose to take the initiative to approach me, tried every means to win me over, and even proposed marriage to me. I did fall in love with her, just as she hoped. When she thought it was her first attempt to approach me, I fulfilled all her requests. What she wanted was a wedding of the century, a wedding that everyone could see. She was gambling, betting that Elliot would come back to stop the wedding. She was half right. Elliot came back, but not to stop the wedding. Instead, he wanted her to help him take revenge. Elliot accused the Benjamin family of persecuting him, saying that his departure back then was out of necessity and that everything was done secretly by my mother, just because he was an illegitimate child. Lily finally agreed under the plea of the person she loved. So during the 3 years of marriage, she always asked me for shares of the Benjamin Group again and again on the pretext of feeling insecure. Because I loved her and didn't care about my mother's opposition, I agreed again and again. But 10% of the shares obviously couldn't satisfy Elliot's appetite. What he wanted was everything of the Benjamin Group. So there was the incident where I happened to encounter him and Lily. I was entangled in a situation when I went to pick Lily up at the airport. I angrily drove away with Lily, and he chased after our car, forcing it to stop. All of this was to make me, the driver, die from the failure of the airbag in the car accident. The reason I knew all of this was that after I died in my previous life, my soul never left. This infatuated fool still followed Lily and guarded her even after death until I heard her confession. When my mother questioned Lily about why she had killed me, only then did I understand everything. At that time, she repented over and over again, trying to get my mother's forgiveness and attempting to make up for all the mistakes. Unfortunately, it was too late. My mother had become demented and was sent to a mental hospital by my father, where she was tortured beyond recognition. Elliot finally took revenge on my mother. It was also at that moment that I finally got rid of my love for Lily completely, and all that remained was hatred for her and Elliot. I think the chance that God gave me this time was for me to come back and take revenge. The news was reporting the accusation that Elliot was suspected of murder, and my phone kept ringing. I ignored all the calls until my father called, and then I pressed the answer button. "Benjamin, be lenient wherever it is possible. You are brothers. Why make it so embarrassing? Brothers. I didn't know I had a younger brother who would steal my wife and try to kill me. Benjamin, for my sake, don't pursue this. Those so-called evidences won't hold water. You'd better tell the police that Benjamin, I'm your father. Don't do something disgraceful like your mother did. If you get into trouble later, don't blame the Benjamin family for being ruthless. What disgraceful things did my mother do, Daniel? Did my mother really do those things? Don't forget that without my mother and me, the old man wouldn't have looked favorably on you at all. I advise you not to make trouble blindly. How dare you?" Daniel, on the other end of the phone, had already started to roar, and I hung up the phone directly, falling into deep thought and grief. All my thoughts of Lucky Chance disappeared completely at that moment. Whether it was my wife or my father, I had given them chances. From now on, I won't be soft-hearted anymore. Benjamin, I didn't expect that you would do such a thing. How could you frame him just to vent your anger? Before the first trial of Elliot's case, Lily posted on Weibo late at night and began to accuse me. Besides this sentence, there was also a short article accusing me of being eccentric. moody, and even insidious and cunning. I just laughed it off after reading it, but public opinion finally started to foment. With her fueling the flames online, there were all kinds of rumors about how Elliot had been secretly persecuted by my mother over the years and how I had deliberately been jealous and framed Elliot. Anyway, my mother and I were the biggest villains in their story. Fortunately, I sent my mother on vacation and cut off all her connections with the country. In this way, no one could hurt her, and I could focus on dealing with Lily and Daniel wholeheartedly. Mr. Benjamin, your family story is really so typical of a wealthy family and so melodramatic. Then, Miss Charlotte, are you confident that you can help me win this battle? I invited the top public relations expert in the country, who was also Lily's former sworn enemy, the thorn in my side, in the past. Charlotte, this woman had always been dedicated to digging up Lily's scandals over the years. We had many encounters because of Lily. Of course, Charlotte raised her eyebrows. As long as you don't use your money and power to block me again, I can handle this public opinion battle in no time. Lily is really blind. She treats a worthless thing as a pearl. Without you, these past 10 years or so, how could she have become a movie queen? TSK, cough cough. Although it was well known that I had been abandoned by Lily, I still felt a bit uncomfortable when she reminded me of being cheated on face to face. Miss Charlotte, do you have a feud with Lily? As far as I know, apart from being junior high, school classmates, you don't seem to have any other connections. So why have you been targeting her all the time? Mr. Benjamin, I do have a feud with her. If it hadn't been for her, my adoptive father wouldn't have. Well, Mr. Benjamin, let's focus on winning this battle at hand first. When Charlotte said these words, there was not only hatred but also grief in her eyes. I had no idea what had happened. In fact, I had investigated the grudges between them before, but unfortunately, I found nothing. However, Charlotte mentioned her adoptive father. I had never found out that she had an adoptive father before, but there was indeed an incident that happened back then which almost ruined Lily and nearly cost me my life. The instigator of that incident was a middle-aged man. I looked at Charlotte, who was working seriously, and suddenly realized that perhaps some things were really not as simple as what I had seen. Under Charlotte's planning, my counterattack began. In Charlotte's words, the best way to fight a public opinion battle is to fight fire with fire. They said that my mother and I were cruel and vicious and had been persecuting Elliot and his mother all the time. Then we would highlight how my father relied on my mother and grandfather to rise to power, how he cheated on his first love during my mother's pregnancy, and how Elliot's mother came to provoke my mother when she was about to give birth, causing my mother to almost have a difficult delivery. All in all, through a series of operations, we nailed down the scumbag as an ungrateful person and the mistress as a woman, who knowingly became a mistress. They lamented that the love between Elliot and Lily was not easy. I would establish my persona as a deeply affectionate man and reveal all the secrets buried deep in my heart. I loved Lily, and I had loved her for a full 15 years, or even longer. When I met Lily, I was only 15 years old, and Lily was just 13. That year was a time of youthful ignorance. The first time I saw Lily, I was blocked by a group of hooligans in an alley, and it was she who suddenly appeared and saved me. The story was rather glitched, but I just fell for her. After all, at that time, I was always bullied, and my parents were too busy with the family business to spare any time to pay attention to me. I thanked her, and she handed me a box of Band-Aids and said boldly that she would protect me from. Then on, I still remember her hearty laughter and her beautiful smile, like a sunflower, to this day. It was at that moment that I was attracted to her. The second time I saw her, she asked me a bit angrily why I hadn't paid attention to her a few days before. Although I was a bit confused, I still said sorry to her. I thought that I might have been distracted at that time. Looking back now, she probably mistook me for someone else. Later, I was always looking forward to seeing her, even though she would occasionally complain that I sometimes ignored her and that my personality was unpredictable. But she thought it was quite interesting. I was very confused, but I didn't refute it because she would always laugh it off after complaining. I thought that, if it hadn't been for that accident, we could have been regarded as innocent childhood sweethearts. Until that day, I saw her running out of an alley in a panic. There was a middle-aged man chasing after her with a fierce look on his face. When Lily saw me, she shouted for help, saying that the man was trying to molest her. I was so angry at that time that I picked up a brick and stood in front of Lily and the man. I told her to leave first. I thought that this time it was my turn to protect her, but I never expected that the moment Lily disappeared around the corner, I was suddenly hit on the back of the head with a blunt object. Before I lost consciousness, I only saw the horrified expression on the man's face and his babbling shouts. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. There were many people around me, including family members, friends, and the police, but Lily was nowhere to be found. He seems to be mute. That was the only thought in my mind before I fell down. The police came to me to understand what had happened at that time. They didn't mention Lily. I thought at that time that it was okay if she wasn't involved. For a girl, no matter what the outcome was, as long as she was involved in such a thing, she would always be criticized by others. So I chose to hide it, and only said that I was beaten by someone. As for whether that person was the mute man or not, I wasn't sure. I actually didn't know what happened in this incident later because on the third day after I woke up, my mother was going to send me abroad. Who would have thought that my injury this time made my mother start to care about all aspects of my daily life? His process that she discovered the existence of Elliot. My father had actually secretly kept Elliot by his side and let him go to school in the same area as me. Those hooligans who always harassed and bullied me were actually found by Elliot, so there was an irreconcilable quarrel between them. My mother wanted to send me away to protect me. Before leaving, I wanted to go to Lily, but when I got to the school, I saw her chatting and laughing with a boy from a distance. They looked very close, and I suddenly became timid at that moment. After all, I didn't say goodbye to her. During the years abroad, I always carried that box of band-aids with me. As time went by, the feelings of my youth became clearer, bit by bit. I realized that I could never forget her. I also understood that inexplicable timidity and those unreasonable thoughts of missing her all came from my love for her. I asked someone to look for her in China but found nothing. It wasn't until by chance that I saw her on a video website. Only then did I know that she had entered the entertainment industry. So I asked my friends in China to take care of her. I was eager to return to China, but my friend told me that she had a boyfriend and advised me not to be too concerned. That moment, I was disappointed, but I also had no intention of ruining her happiness, so I chose to wait silently. I deliberately avoided all the information about her relationships. I became timid again. I didn't want to know what the man who won her heart was like, so at that time, I didn't know at all that her boyfriend was actually Elliot. And Lily probably couldn't imagine that her lover had woven a huge lie for her from the very beginning. During those days of frustration, since I couldn't be with the person I loved, I always hoped to find a shadow of her in others. The identity of the eldest grandson of the Benjamin family was so noble that countless girls threw themselves at me. Even though I really remained unmoved in the face of such temptations, I still got the reputation of being a playboy until I unexpectedly met Lily at a club. I didn't know why she would take the initiative to approach me, but I also noticed that she seemed to have forgotten me. I watched her clumsy attempts at seduction and flirting. On the surface, I appeared indifferent, but deep down inside, I was as excited as a puppy wagging its tail crazily. Facing my friend's well-intentioned advice, I didn't care about her motives or her ulterior motives. It didn't matter. I was willing as long as I could stay by her side. So even though I knew that the reason she was with me was because she had been hurt in a relationship, and that the reason she wanted to marry me might be for someone else, I didn't care. I thought perhaps it was a reward from heaven for me. After all, every crisis and every opportunity in her career was helped to be resolved and grasped with my financial power. There had always been a rumor online that there was a big shot helping Lily. In the scenes, no one knew that person was me. However, I never expected that 3 years of waiting and 16 years of deep affection would be repaid with her heartless abandonment. Of course, I still loved her, so if she wanted to leave and pursue her own happiness, I was willing to let her go gracefully. Once my confession was released, public opinion on the internet began to change. Some people started to side with me, while others still thought I was part of a conspiracy. Then Lily came to me. "You're saying that it was you who saved me back then, and it was also you who had been helping me all these years. Otherwise, did you think it was Elliot, wasn't it? But that person back then was clearly you," she blurted out, but then became uncertain and looked at me, hoping I would give her an answer. Before this, she really thought that the person who had always been protecting her was Elliot. After all, in her love story with Elliot, it was a start where they were each other's heroes. Just like what I said in my confession, I had never thought that Lily would mistake me for someone else in my previous life. Not long after I died, she found that box of band-aids among my belongings, the box that Elliot said he had lost. It was also from that moment that she began to feel guilty and started to investigate the truth of all the things. When she discovered the truth, she couldn't accept it and almost broke up with Elliot, but it was too late. I was already dead, and the sin had already been committed. She could only make meaningless confessions in this life. She stood in front of me, looking at me, who refused to give her an answer. For a long time, her eyes turned red, and she asked me loudly, in an emotional breakdown, whether I was lying. To her, she didn't believe it. She didn't believe that her past 15 years had all started with Elliot's deception. "You must be lying to me, Benjamin. You're so shameless. All of this is fake. Whether it's true or not, you can just check it yourself. The great movie queen, with your current status, can't you find someone to investigate?" I didn't respond to her, but Charlotte suddenly appeared with a sneer on her lips as she faced Lily. "It's you." After seeing her, all of Lily's uncertainty and doubts instantly turned into anger. "You two have teamed up. It seems that all of this is indeed fake." "Check. Of course, I will check, and then I'll make all the evidence public." "Benjamin, Charlotte, you will pay the price for your hypocrisy. Then good luck, we'll see who's the hypocrite then. Humph. Charlotte held her head high, looking confident, which made Lily so angry that she immediately slammed the door and left. In the ward, only Charlotte and I were left. The atmosphere suddenly became eerily quiet. We were both waiting for the other to speak, waiting to reveal the truth that had been buried for many years. That mute man was my adoptive father. He didn't hit anyone, but Lily gave false testimony, saying that she saw him hitting you with her own eyes. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison but later died there. He had always been in poor health. Finally, Charlotte broke the silence. From her, I learned what happened after that year. After I left, the police questioned Charlotte's adoptive father many times and then learned about the existence of Lily and Elliot. Charlotte's adoptive father confessed that, for money, he agreed to Elliot's request to frighten Lily with the aim of allowing Elliot to show up in time and play the hero to save the beauty. Things went smoothly until another Elliot suddenly appeared, and the person who hit me was that suddenly appeared Elliot. The whole thing was very confusing. I had already gone abroad at that time, so the police could only go to Elliot to verify. Just at this time, Lily showed up and said that she was an eyewitness and had seen Charlotte's adoptive father hitting someone with her own eyes. Besides the fingerprints of me and Charlotte's adoptive father on the weapon, there were no others, so Charlotte's adoptive father was sentenced. Charlotte had always firmly believed what her adoptive father said was true, so she hated Lily and hated Elliot even more. After listening to this, I just felt that the truth seemed far from being as simple as I thought. I had always thought that Lily just mistook me for someone else, but now it seemed that perhaps Lily didn't know who I really was from the very beginning. After all, in my previous life, what I saw and heard after my death was actually limited, and I didn't know the whole picture of many things. So what exactly did Elliot do back then, and what was the truth that Lily knew in her previous life? I thought it was necessary for me to meet my half-brother, Benjamin. You came to see me just to ask about this. When Elliot heard me mention the past about Charlotte's adoptive father, he was extremely surprised and confused. Then, as if he thought of something, he sneered. You're really deeply in love with Lily. She's treated you so badly, yet you still want to prove that you're the one she loves, so as to make her change her mind. Benjamin, you're such a pitiful wretch. Let me tell you, the day after you met her, I pretended to be you and approached her. Every time you met her, I secretly followed you and then approached her myself. The next day, we really looked alike. Back then, she didn't notice at all that I wasn't you. I knew you liked her, so I decided to steal her from you, ruin her, and also use this to ruin you. In fact, there was no hero saving the beauty. I just wanted her to be bullied by you. Charlotte's adoptive father was not only a mute but also a fool. Ha ha ha. I originally planned to let him catch Lily and then completely ruin her by pretending to be you. But you actually showed up, so I had to change my plan. You're really lucky to still be alive. Why didn't you die? Why, madman? He was only 14 years old back then. How could he come up with such a vicious plot? Elliot's voice was as disgusting as the whispers of a devil. This man was truly a madman. You're really a madman. I'm a madman. I was forced to be like this by you all. It's all because of your mother, your vicious mother. That's why my mother died so miserably. Blame your filthy and vicious mother. Facing Elliot's accusations against my mother, I wasn't in a hurry to refute them because I knew that my mother actually hadn't done anything. So, I remained calm without any significant emotional fluctuations. I was so calm that he couldn't wait to reveal more of the truth just to anger me. Benjamin. Actually, Lily did give false testimony back then. Guess why? Actually, Lily really liked you back then. You don't even know that she was willing to lie for you and ruin an innocent person. Benjamin sneered coldly, and his eyes, looking at me, were full of mockery. After that fool confessed about me, I went to Lily and told her that my real name wasn't Benjamin, but Elliot. I told her that I had stolen your identity because I was ashamed of being an illegitimate child. I also told her that you had been bullying me and that this time you wanted to ruin me. That fool was someone you hired, and after she left, I was stopped by you and I accidentally hit you. I begged her to help me and accuse that fool. Back then, she really believed everything I said. Whatever I said, she believed. From that day on, she began to dislike you just like I did. Ha! Every time I heard her curse you with me, I felt extremely comfortable. I knew you liked her. You liked her so much. Even when you were abroad, you still thought about her and asked people to take care of her, but what was the use? She only had me in her heart. You protected her from the wind and rain, but she was at my mercy on my bed. Do you know what's the funniest thing? She always wanted to recall with me those youthful days between you and her, those memories that I had secretly watched from the shadows. Elliot started laughing as he spoke. It was the laugh of a victor, but as he laughed, his face froze because I was still too indifferent. He didn't see the expected anger and pain in my eyes. Today's meeting was like a one-man show for him, from being arrogant and sneering at the beginning to being confused and powerless now. Benjamin, what on earth did you come here for today? To listen to stories. I want to tell you something. By the way, I handed him some documents which recorded the truth about his mother's death. No, this can't be. How could it be? It's fake, all fake. Elliot probably never dreamed that his own mother was killed by his beloved father with his own hands. Not only that, but even all his childhood hardships were caused by Daniel. The reason was simply that Daniel needed to compete for the position of the heir of the Benjamin family. Then he couldn't have any stains, and he had to eliminate everyone who would hinder him, even his first love, even his son. He thought that by doing this, he could make my mother change her mind and get more support. Unfortunately, in the end, the position of the heir was given to me. He had to team up with Elliot again and become the only light in Elliot's life. Trying to use Elliot's hand to get rid of me and my mother, Elliot was actually just a pawn in the hands of a ruthless father. Looking at the already emotionally broken Elliot in front of me, I sighed. Even a devil has ways to hurt others deeply. At this point, I had no intention of staying here any longer. I was about to leave, but Elliot stopped me. Benjamin, how about we make a deal? Elliot's deal was simple. If I let him go, he would let Lily go. According to him, Lily's false testimony incident back then was a big stain. Once it was exposed, it would be a disaster for her. As long as he could get out, he could even give Lily to me. I looked at him speechlessly. I suddenly realized that he and Lily were actually the same kind of people, both a bit too self-righteous. Why do you think I'll always love Lily? You two are the real couple, aren't you? Those who do wrong should be punished. Don't worry, I won't let any of you, including you, Lily and Daniel, go. By the way, Elliot, what makes you think that I can influence this case? What do you think of the national law? This isn't a civil lawsuit, it's a criminal lawsuit. After I said these words, for the first time, I saw horror and disbelief in Elliot's eyes. After leaving the detention center, I gave the recording of my conversation with Elliot to Charlotte. Once this is made public, Lily will fall from her pedestal. Benjamin, are you really sure you want to let me handle this recording? Charlotte tentatively asked, and it seemed that she also thought that I still had an unreasonable affection for Lily. I waved my hand. I'm a person who has died once. I've already let go of what should be let go long ago. These days, being a bootlicker never ends well. Really? Then I won't be polite. Thank you, Benjamin, for giving me a work reward. I love it. Charlotte left happily with the recording. Watching her skip along, I somehow felt that the sunshine today was warming my heart. I didn't know whether it was because I was finally going to put an end to everything or simply because of the joy of another person that made me feel warm. Charlotte acted quickly, and so did I, when Lily was exposed for being suspected of giving false testimony and causing the death of an innocent person. Daniel was also accused of killing his lover 20 years ago. The drama in the wealthy family grew more and more intense. Medias couldn't keep up with the police announcements while eating melons. Public opinion also gradually developed in a direction favorable to me. After the first trial of Elliot's criminal case ended, I also started to file for divorce. The reason why I wanted to file for divorce was that Lily regretted it. She said that we still had feelings and that she didn't want to divorce. Benjamin, why are you doing this? Why won't you see me? I know you still love me. We have feelings for each other. Please don't leave me. Okay, it had been a month, and I saw Lily, again, at this moment, had lost her former radiance and looked extremely haggard. As soon as she saw me, she rushed towards me, her eyes full of tears, as well as remorse and self-blame. In the past, seeing her like this would have surely made me feel extremely distressed, but now I didn't have the slightest ripple in my heart. Miss Lily, isn't your lover Elliot? How come it suddenly becomes me? Benjamin, could it be that after discovering the truth, you can't bear to part with your real benefactor? Oh my, your so-called true love really changes so casually. As long as it could make Lily discredited and embarrassed, Charlotte would definitely show up. I didn't even know when Charlotte had arrived, and she even brought several media reporters behind her. Benjamin, I'm taking a little advantage. Do you mind? Charlotte leaned close to my ear and whispered an apology. I smiled and indicated that it didn't matter, as long as she didn't go too far. Lily saw me and Charlotte whispering so intimately and immediately turned cold. Charlotte, how could you be so shameless? Not only did you slander me maliciously, but you also tried to seduce my husband. Ah, Lily, are you out of your mind? Which of your eyes saw me seducing Benjamin? Also, I slandered you maliciously. What do you think? The police announcements were all made up by marketing accounts. Don't think that just because the statute of limitations has passed, you won't be held legally accountable. You're innocent, okay? Everyone has eyes and is different from you. For so many years, you've been as blind as a bat, treating a pearl as a fish. You're so stupid. Lily was so angry that she was shaking all over, but she quickly calmed down. Instead, she looked at me affectionately again. I was so familiar with this expression. 3 years ago, when she first flirted with me, she had exactly the same look. Was she so sure that I would fall for her again? Benjamin, I know the truth now. Shall we start over? You've loved me for so many years. You can't just stop loving me all of a sudden, right? Let's go home. Okay, go home. Lily, did we ever have a home? You've never loved me. It's been 15 years. No matter what the truth was back then, it was always Elliot who was with you, and I was just a tool in your love story. Let go. From the moment you chose to help Elliot, we no longer had a home. Lily was full of tears and still reluctantly grabbed my arm. Benjamin, do you really not want me anymore? Dare you say that you really don't love me anymore? Lily, I once asked you this question too. You said you had never loved me and that you married me just because I looked like him. So I think my answer is the same now. I slowly pried her hands off and said word by word. The person I love is the girl from 15 years ago, and you just look like her. My divorce lawsuit went very smoothly. Lily had an affair during our marriage and was also suspected of conspiring with Elliot to commit murder, so I could almost make Lily leave the house completely empty. Suits against Elliot and Daniel were quickly adjudicated because of conclusive evidence. One was sentenced to 20 years for attempted murder, and the other was sentenced to life imprisonment for intentional homicide. As for Lily, due to various scandals and without the support of the Benjamin Group behind her, she was quickly terminated by major brands and was demanded to pay large amounts of liquidated damages. She contacted me more than once, hoping that I would help her, but was rebuffed by Charlotte in person every time. Yes, after I divorced Lily, Charlotte and I fell in love over time and got together. We held a wedding of the century under everyone's blessings. This time it was even more grand than the one between me and Lily, and it was broadcast live globally. At the wedding, looking at Charlotte with a shy face and eyes full of love, I felt extremely grateful that God had given me a chance to be reborn, allowing me to let go of my obsession from my youth and embrace my true love.